Good day to you all, and I welcome you to BDT Pre-Technical Skills class. Our topic for today is metals, which falls under materials, and we are going to lay emphasis on cast iron. By the end of the lesson, you should be able to identify cast iron. You should be able to state the properties and uses of cast iron. Identification of cast iron. To obtain cast iron, pig iron and scrap metals, mostly made of foundry and steel scraps, with traces of elements like silicon, sulfur, phosphorus, magnesium, and manganese, are remelted and refined in a furnace called cupola. It is then poured into a mold. The iron cools in the shape of a useful machine part of article or an artifact. In short, cast iron is an alloy with a carbon content ranging from about 2.5 to 4.5%, 94% iron, and the remaining percentages being traces of silicon, sulfur, phosphorus, magnesium, and manganese. This means that the 94% iron forms the greater percentage of all components of a cast iron. Kinds of cast iron. There are three common types of cast iron. We have the gray cast iron, which is the most commonly used cast iron based on its weight. It has a gray appearance. We also have the white cast iron and then the darker cast iron. Properties of cast iron. Cast iron has a melting point of 1240 degrees Celsius. It rusts quite slowly. It can be machined easily, which means that it can be cut through very easily. It can also be cast easily. It is very brittle with a hard surface skin. It has a soft core and is self-lubricating. Now, this means that from the inside of a cast iron, it is fairly soft, but getting to the outer part, it is very hard. In fact, cast iron is one of the hardest metals you can find around. Another property of cast iron is that it cannot be bent and then forged easily. Also, it does not braze or weld easily. It is strong under compression but weak in tension. Now, if you look at the diagram below, we have this one showing how a cast iron is being compressed, but then it stays exactly as it is. There are no deformations to it. But then looking at this one, which is in tension, meaning it is being stretched or pulled apart, what do we see? We realize that it breaks easily from its middle. Now let's move on to uses of cast iron. As we can see, cast iron is used for box iron, which uses coal, or what we call charcoal today. We also use cast iron to manufacture spoke shave, which the wood workers use in their workshop, usually to peel off the surface of wood. Also, cast iron is used to make engine blocks, and as you can see, the engine block is the one to the right. This one over here is found in the engines of vehicles and then big trucks. Then on the left side we have the cylinder head, which moves hand in hand with the engine block. Both are made from cast iron. We also get manhole covers. Usually we see this on our roads, in the middle of our roads, and then usually on the pavements side by side the road, to cover trenches and then deep gutters and all that. I believe you have all seen or come across one of these before. Some of them are in a circular shape, as we can see. Others are in rectangular and then square shapes. We also use the cast iron to manufacture the jack plane or the smoothing plane, which is also used by woodworkers, as you can see. The base of a drill machine is also made from cast iron, as you can see in your picture here on the left, sorry, on the right, this one. So the base over here is made from cast iron. Then on the left we have the manual sewing machine, which is also made from cast iron. So that brings us to the end of today's lesson. We look at a summary of whatever we have learned now. Now we started by identifying cast iron, and then we moved on to the common types or kinds of cast iron that we can find around us. We mentioned the gray cast iron, the white cast iron, and then the ductile cast iron. And we said the gray cast iron was the most commonly used cast iron based on its weight. We mentioned properties of cast iron. We have chemical properties here, physical properties, as well as mechanical properties. We went further to talk about the uses of cast iron, as you can see in your shorts here. So now that we have seen the properties, the uses, and even how to identify cast iron, I would entreat each and everyone here to carefully read through this exercise and then try as much as possible to answer all of them. The first one, you are to briefly explain what cast iron is. You are to list 4 artifacts made from cast iron, state 2 chemical properties and 2 mechanical properties of cast iron. In fact, you have to do them separately. Explain the following properties of cast iron, that is brittleness and then strength. Finally, you have to state 1 reason for each for using cast iron to make the following artifacts. That's the engine block, the body of a manual sewing machine, and then the box iron. Thank you very much for your time. See you another time. Bye bye.